Hi and welcome back to the channel, guys. We are continuing Avatar: The Last Airbender. This is book 1, chapter 12, titled The Storm. And that could maybe become a bit of a problem if they run into a storm while they're making their way to the North Pole. But I think just in general with this first half of the first season, or we've actually passed the halfway point, it's a lot of world building, a lot of obstacles to overcome, a lot of people to help. But I think so far it's still really entertaining, and cannot wait for us to get like deeper into the story and everything. So is there anything you want to get into? Nope. Alrighty, let's go.
We need you, Aang. I need you too.
I think he might be dreaming.
I think you might be right.
Gyatso?
Why did you disappear?
Oh.
I didn't mean to.
We need you, Aang.
We need you, Aang. We need you.
Oof. Scary.
What's going on? You seem to be having a lot of nightmares lately. You want to tell me about it? I think I just need some rest.
You guys want to hear about my dream?
No.
Food eats people. Also, Momo could talk. You said some very unkind things.
Oh.
He could never.
No, he would never.
The weather's perfect. There's not a cloud in sight.
A storm is approaching from the north. I suggest we alter our course and head southwest.
I think you should listen to your uncle.
The safety of the crew doesn't matter.
Are you sure about that?
Finding the Avatar is far more important than any individual's safety.
I think it's true, Katara. Swishing means it's right.
No.
I just realized we're out of money anyway.
Ah!
Whoa.
Wow.
No clouds, no wind, no nothing, so quit your nagging, woman.
Maybe we should find some shelter?
I'll go.
You're hired.
What? You said get a job, and he's paying double.
Double? Who told you that nonsense?
Well, you just said that.
You did, buddy.
You'd better learn some respect, or I will teach it to you.
What do you know about respect?
Talk to everyone around here.
Then again, what should I expect from a spoiled?
Woof.
I'm sure after a bowl of noodles,
Yes.
everyone will feel much better.
Yes.
Eat
I don't
some
need your help
noodles.
keeping order on my ship.
I think you do.
Don't mistreat Iroh like that.
No, yeah.
You're the Avatar, ain't you?
That's right.
Well, don't be so smiley about it. The Avatar disappeared for 100 years. You turned your back on the world.
Not on purpose.
Aang, what's wrong? Appa, yip yip!
Yep.
Talk to me. Well, it's kind of a long story.
Good time.
Where'd you learn that trick, Aang? I made it up. Wow!
Aang, come with us.
I just chose them because they seem fun.
You chose them because they were familiar.
Normally, we would have told you of your identity when you turned 16. Storm clouds are gathering.
So the storm is reminding him of...
My nephew is a complicated young man. He has been through much.
If I'm going to rule this nation one day, don't you think I need to start learning as much as I can?
Very well. But you must promise not to speak.
What better to use as bait than fresh meat?
You can't sacrifice an entire division like that. Those soldiers love and defend our nation. How can you betray them?
Out.
was right, you see. But it was not his place to speak out. And there were dire consequences.
What's going on?
Now that you're the Avatar, it's kind of an unfair advantage for whichever team you're on.
But I'm still the same. Nothing's changed.
Aw, man.
You're playing games with him? The Avatar should be training. I must test you on some high-level techniques.
Aw.
No, As long as I am his guardian, I will decide when he trains.
The Fire Lord became very angry with him.
It's the first time we're gonna see him.
Zuko's challenge of the general was an act of complete disrespect.
Still just seeing like the back of his head.
Zuko had spoken out against the general's plan, but by doing so in the Fire Lord's war room, it was the Fire Lord whom he had disrespected.
Oh, he's gonna fight his own father?
That's why he got the scar.
Oh, shit.
You are letting your affection for the boy cloud your judgment.
All I want is what is best for him.
You and Aang must be
That is some monobrow.
Oh, and he heard that.
Oh no. He ran
I
away.
never saw Gyatso again.
Oh, that's what... Oh my... Wow.
Next thing I knew, I was waking up in your arms after you found me in the iceberg. I did turn my back on the world. You're being too hard on yourself. Even if you did run away, I think it was meant to be. Give people hope.
You will fight for your honor.
I meant you no disrespect.
Rise and fight, Prince Zuko.
I won't fight you.
Yeah, I can hear who that is.
And suffering will be your teacher. I looked away.
Capturing the Avatar is the only chance he has of things returning to normal.
Yeah.
Things will never return to normal.
No.
But the important thing is, the Avatar gives Zuko hope.
This storm is becoming a typhoon. They're caught out at sea.
I'm going to find them. I'm going with you.
I'm staying here.
Fair enough. Yeah, that must have been like really difficult for her to get up there and talk to them. Oh shit. Come on, Zuko. Whoa! Ow! Ah, yes. Well done.
The Avatar!
What do you want to do, sir?
Let him go. We need to get this ship to safety.
And we must head directly into the eye of the storm.
Ah. Oh.
I'm too young to die!
I'm not, but I still don't wanna.
Nice.
Hang on to the rope!
Yoink. Here goes your boat. Oh. Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Uncle, I'm sorry.
Hey.
I give him a free fish and we call it even.
Actually, I don't eat meat.
Fish ain't meat.
Seriously? You're still gonna pay me.
It is.
I'm here now and I'm going to make the most of it. I don't think you're gonna have those nightmares anymore.
Thank you for saving my life, Avatar.
Do you hear that?
Oof.
That was a nice episode, I think. Oh, and a little leakage going on. So that was chapter 12, The Storm. And while I did enjoy the last episode, this one was just it kind of blew it out of the water. It was really good. And just to comment and just to start it off with, the title, The Storm. It was both a very literal storm, but also kind of a metaphorical storm that both Zuko and Aang were like experiencing inside of themselves. And we kind of got to go back a little bit and get to see like the last what happened before Aang got encased in the eyes and everything, and what happened to Zuko before he left the Fire Nation to find the Avatar to redeem himself in his father's eyes. So yeah, that was just a really good episode to get to know the characters better, and some pretty emotional stuff there.
Yeah, and I can see in this episode it's the same director as the first Winter Solstice and also the Southern Air Temple. So these kind of important Aang episodes are they are directed by the same person.
Yeah, Lauren McMullen.
Yeah. And I think she's doing a great job, and there's really some deeply emotional conflicts and deep emotional scarring, or
and she has a good sensibility then, I think. The director there, Lauren, and like she's good with that, with those more character driven emotional episodes, which I think this very much was. And the notion of even though you have trauma in your past, is a good idea not to dwell on it. And to try to look forward and like
see the positives of why you're here right now.
Exactly. Stay in the now. Do what you can do now, because it like nothing gets better like if you just dwell on the past.
Yeah, and all these what ifs.
Yeah.
It's not only gonna hurt you. And
yes, we all know that, the feeling of having regrets, right? And there's something that you wanted to do differently maybe in your past, but and it's okay to be like, dang, I wish I had done that differently. But to dwell on it and keep just thinking about it and maybe like let it control your future a little bit, or maybe like influence how you're living now, that's maybe not a good idea. So yeah, it's another good lesson, I think, in part with like kind of building on what was in the last one, where it was kind of the same with, don't dwell too much in the past and past transgressions and what has happened, and look to the future. That was just more focused on, cultures and people and everything. And this is more like personal, your inner storm, your personal struggles and everything. So I thought that was beautifully done.
Yeah, and we saw both, as you said, we both saw Aang's inner storm, but we also saw Zuko's inner storm, and kind of in parallel. And we definitely get a better sense of both characters. We see that Aang is of course not perfect, because, well, he suddenly had to grow up a lot faster than he was originally intended to. And then he ran into this storm that kind of threw him off guard, and quite literally.
Yeah.
And then he just
disappeared for 100 years. And he was only 12 years old when they told him, you are the Avatar, and put that big responsibility on his shoulders, even though... What was it? Like,
Gyatso?
But Gyatso said that they would have done it, or they would normally do it, would wait to tell him until he was 16 years old or something. So that would have been better. And therefore, as you said, he was kind of forced to grow up. And it came at a time where he was still like fooling around with his friends and having fun and coming up with the air scooter that he was talking about and everything. And as soon as he got the news that you're going to be the Avatar, then everything changed. And that's a lot to handle for a young kid, for a young child, to just be like, hey, one day you're a kid and the next day it's just like, grow up. Now you're an adult with responsibilities.
But I think that's also, some people experiencing some sort of trauma very early on in their lives, you can always feel that it's like they are growing up a lot faster.
Yeah.
And I think this one is really, really good to tell that kind of story. Like that you sometimes, some kids are just forced to grow up a lot faster because of some sort of trauma in their lives. It could be bullying, it could be like abusive parents.
Yes.
And I think it could actually be a little bit the same with Zuko. He was kind of forced to grow up a lot faster because of his father trying to show him definitely anything but nepotism. And
Yeah.
you know, that showing him these consequences of him being perhaps a little bit too eager to participate and maybe even to grow up and become responsible. And
or it's just like you're not honoring the traditions where it's like this is only for older commanders and people with responsibilities and authority and experience first and foremost. I think then like you're not honoring that, then like that's more important to keep traditions in line than it is to like keep personal relations and like nurturement and like empathy for your own damn son, man. Like, wow, that's some tough shit. And it really forced, as you say, it kind of forced Zuko to grow up or become more adult and definitely more jaded very quickly, because he did seem more like hopeful and young and brash and everything when we saw him in those flashbacks, and now he's like just a very serious how old is he?
I think he's about 16 or something.
Yeah. 15, 16. He's just a very serious teenager. We're all dealing with stuff, and you know, Iroh sitting down and talking to the crew and being like, you don't know what he's dealing with. You don't know what he's been through. Like, you're totally right. He shouldn't be saying all this, but you need to be mindful of what he has gone through. And I think that was a beautiful moment as well. And it kind of shows us that, as I said, everybody's dealing with something, and what we need is more of an understanding between us and just communication. Talk to each other instead of just acting out and being like, all right, you shouldn't do that. I'm in the right. You might be in the right, but it's not that cut and dry.
And sometimes when we understand each other, it's much easier to see where a certain reaction is coming from. Because, of course, there's so many reasons why we do stuff that we do. And I think it's very important to at least, you know, push that understanding instead of just then feeling that you have to react very strongly to that and not necessarily have some empathy towards that person. But of course, if they don't share what they're going through, you don't know where this is coming from.
No.
And that's what Iroh did. He then sat down and talked to them and told, actually, I think it's the first time we actually got this confirmed, even though we have been getting hints about this before. But it's the first time we really got it, you know, settled that it was the Fire Lord who punished Zuko
like directly, yes.
And he got that scar from it.
Yes, we didn't know who did it before. It was just...
I think we got hints about it was him and it was his dad. Or maybe it was just something that I deduced.
Maybe. I don't think the only thing that they've said, there might have been hints, but the only thing we knew for certain was that it was, he got that in another duel with like an experienced commander or something. I don't remember like the precise wordings, but I'm pretty sure they didn't mention that the Fire Lord gave it to him.
Okay, then it was something that I deduced myself then.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I knew this.
Oh,
beforehand.
okay.
So
maybe I've just totally forgotten that Zuko said that it was his father that gave it to him.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm just very quick to assume things.
Yeah. I thought that was actually one of the points in this. What they were trying to show us with his flashbacks was, like one of the twists there was that it was actually his own father, and this whole thing where he had to fight. Like he didn't just slight that commander that like he spoke out of term and everything. He didn't just offend him, he offended the Fire Lord because it happened at his meeting and everything. So I thought that was but yeah, maybe they've told us. Either way, the voice of the Fire Lord. We heard that in this one. And yeah, it's none other than Mark freaking Hamill. The Joker himself, if we're talking voice acting, and you might know him as another, character who's in live action. That's Luke Skywalker, and Fire Lord Osai and Luke Skywalker. Those two are two very
different,
like polar opposite characters. So it's more closer to the Joker here than even though I'm sure the Fire Lord is not as unhinged and crazy and just
pure anarchy
as the Joker, but he's definitely not a good guy. He seems pretty evil, but we'll see when we meet him or we get some more time with him. I'm sure there are deeper sides, like deeper qualities to him, and he's not just... I'm hoping he's not just going to be a two-dimensional villain sort of deal, but yeah. Either way, just with Mark Hamill doing the voice, it's going to be great no matter what.
But one of the things I really liked about, or what I really liked about the character of Zuko, is that I think throughout this, he was like, I also think this was a very important point, that we saw that the reason why he stood up at that meeting, he said, let's think about our people. Let's think about the soldiers and the people.
He came from a place of compassion.
Yeah, compassion for his people. And we also have seen that beforehand, that he's very fixated on he's thinking about the nation and the people as a whole, instead of just thinking of power. And I think he might have been drifting a little bit away from that, but he was reminded of who he was and where he comes from and how he's actually... And once again, I am sure he's going to have a great redemption arc. I just feel it in my bones that we're supposed to really... He's going to come around, feel it.
Yeah.
And this one, he was just reminded of who he was and where all of this comes from. And in the end, he actually... sacrificed getting hold of the Avatar and got his crew to safety instead, and I think that was kind of a wake-up call for him, like, come on, this is what I do, this is who I am.
He learned the lesson as well, and that it was a beautiful way of telling that, and him at first being like, no, catching the Avatar is way more important than any person, it's more important than the crew, like, screw the crew. And they rightfully so got like, oh wow, okay, this is Zuko does not have our best interests at heart, and then Iroh came in and told the story, and through that story Zuko kind of had that whole journey there with like showing a lot of compassion at the meeting and then being punished for it, and that is obviously why he's maybe have strayed away from that and being like, I need to focus on this one thing so that I can get back into the good graces, or I can get back into the Fire Nation. And it's kind of been his goal, and he's been so focused on it that he totally forgot about the compassion and what actually got him in trouble. And even though like Iroh said so himself, that you weren't wrong, Zuko, like you were totally right, that what you were saying at that meeting, it's just because of tradition and where you said it and how you said it, it just is not received well. And you shouldn't do that, but you're not wrong at all. Like, you're not wrong in your compassion for your nation and the people therein.
Yeah, but it turns out that he actually, because I think this was Zuko's storm as well, or it was Zuko's storm as well, but he got to the eye of the storm. And he kind of, as we said, he's been a bit on a rough patch, possibly, and especially in himself with this inner storm. And then suddenly he got his way back into the eye of the storm. He found himself, and he centered himself.
Yeah.
And I just think it's crazy good symbolics here. And I know it's probably, some people probably say it's very cliche or whatever, but once again, I love tropes. I am a sucker for that stuff. And then I was thinking about something that Iroh said, I think it was Iroh who said it, that it would never be the same after this whole punishment.
Oh, yeah. Like even if he got the Avatar and went back and everything,
things would never be the same. And I couldn't help, because then we also saw that how Zuko was thinking back at how, and you saw like how the Fire Lord's hand was on his shoulder, like some sort of like a means of compassion almost towards Zuko. And something happened there. And I can't help but wonder if the Fire Lord actually strayed from his path, or strayed, and something happened within the Fire Lord that he became too obsessed with. Perhaps this, he found out about this
the comet,
and then he obsessed about the comet and all of this, and then he suddenly became like a whole other person and was striving for power and ultimate power instead of winning his grandfather's war and everything, and that's perhaps what changed. And that's why stuff will never be the same.
Yeah, and why Iroh is like, even though that's his brother, he's not too fond of him at the moment, it seems, and there's a reason why he's not with him, and he's like nurturing his son instead, or Iroh's nephew.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think you're onto something there. That something more or something else happened in the past with the Fire Lord and Zuko and everything, and something. Because yes, there are more to Iroh saying it's never gonna be the same. Like you're never gonna get on good terms again, probably, with your father, and that's a sad thought for any kid to be like, not be ever to
feel wanted, or
by your parents, especially
especially the parents.
Those, they really don't want to let our parents down, and it's supposed to be like unconditional love between parents and a child. So the fact that something went so wrong between those two that it's never going to be the same, that's a really sad thought.
That's a real trauma there. That's like a real trauma.
Yes, and just thinking about that makes me sad, because just thinking if something happened between me and my parents, I would like, that would kill me. If I couldn't, like, if I ruined my relationship with my parents, and like, no matter who's at fault, but just and I know a lot of people out there in the world, they have a lot of trauma like this, and that are connected to family and everything, and it just makes me sad to think about, so let's not do that. But it was a really good episode.
Really?
Seriously.
When we can talk so long.
Yeah. It's like the last one, I think we talked for like 5 or 6 minutes, and this one is
we can't stop.
Really. We just can't stop. It's just so good. But yeah, I think we're gonna end it here. But it was such a good episode. A lot of great insights into the characters, and some great symbolic stuff going on. So unless you have anything, any last little comment? Nope. Alrighty. That's gonna do it for this reaction and review of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 1, Chapter 12, The Storm. Thank you so much for watching as always, and we will see you very soon. Bye!
Bye!